All right, my ESP tells me that Tina Trester is on the line, so I'll say good morning, Tina.
You are a seer. Good morning.
How
are you?
Am.
How are you today?
All right, thank you. And how are you? And what's new in the Rockland County Business Journal?
Business Journal. Well, we broke the story last week that Lord & Taylor is due to close on January 29th, 2020. And that means that the Palisades Center will be without two of its three anchors. JCPenney, of course, remains vacant. This is a really big blow.
But it was expected, though, wasn't it? I remember you talking about this, that there was anticipated this something would happen. Well,
we did forecast this, so I guess we're a steer as well. We saw the handwriting on the wall. We weren't sure, but we got some inside information last week, and it should be a real wake-up call to town officials, to those in economic development. Obviously,
is this going to be just this store? Or is it going to be a nationwide closure?
They're closing several stores, and this is amongst them.
Kind of like the Sears scenario.
Sears and Macy's, and it's funny that you say that because Macy's, Sears, I think JCPenney, and even maybe the flip side of the Lord & Taylor story. Okay, let me go back a second. It makes one wonder whether we have an underperforming market here in Rockland, and here's why. With Lord & Taylor, the company that owns Lord & Taylor is Hudson Bay Company, and they have sold Lord & Taylor to it's called La Tote, which is a clothing rental subscription retailer for $100 million. So what they're getting rid of, so it said that they plan to close 10 of their 48 stores. So here we have an underperforming store here in Rockland. Similarly, Macy's is still trying to reinvent itself, but obviously closed its doors here. JCPenney too, and Sears. So I wonder what this means for the Rockland market, for the Hudson Valley market. Do we just have too much retail? Are there just not enough bodies to shop? Have we been hurt? Are we being hurt? These are questions. I don't have the answers, but are we being affected disproportionately to other markets that can sustain these retailers that are going through a downsizing or a reinvention? I don't know. And what does it mean for the Palisades Center and for what will very likely be a tax appeal come 2020 when they'll be entitled to file another tax appeal according to their agreement with the town? So this raises a lot of big questions for sure.
And on the horizon, you have in October, you have this behemoth, the American Dream Mall, opening down the road in the Meadowlands.
I know, yeah, that's right. And they're going to open in phases, and some of the retail there is going to be extremely high-end, like Hermes and other very, couture, which is not even a market that we have here at all. But yeah, that mall is going to be something to see with all of its entertainment elements and all of its different pieces. So
I think you're going to end up seeing more traffic than anything else at that mall.
Well, you'll see a lot of traffic maybe, but people will sit in traffic when there's something they want to go to. We all know that. They do it to go to the beach, right? They do it to go to a sports event or a concert, and if this is a big enough draw, people will sit in their cars or figure out a different time of day to get there. I think that Rockland needs to be doing a lot of soul searching in terms of its economic future. Particularly if this threatened recession comes on. What does that mean? So I just wondered if I hope that we're not heading for some sort of a perfect storm where we really. I went over to the Rockland Plaza Mall the other day, and Dress Barn was gone. A barbershop was gone. There was another empty store. Payless was gone. And then there were 2 more empty stores. Destination Maternity is another chain that's having trouble. And that's one of the most viable shopping centers we have in the Route 59 corridor.
But each one of those things you mentioned are things like clothing or shoes and things that people are buying more readily on the internet.
Yeah.
But we're seeing different shops come in, like Aldi, for example, is something new, is something unique. It's more of a food market than anything else. But you're also seeing, like you are with this American Dream Mall, it's going to be, I think the numbers were 55% entertainment and 45% or less retail.
Yeah, one of the big stories out of Westchester last week was that Lion, the movie studio,
Lionsgate.
Yeah, they're taking space in Yonkers.
A big space.
I mean, I think that, what Rockland really needs are the things that are just not here. Business incubators, production studios, maybe WeWork space, shared working spaces. I think certainly we're going to have to think outside the box, or we're just going to end up with a corridor of really, really low-end merchandise.
When you mentioned Rockland Plaza, is that where Marshall's is?
That's where Barnes & Noble and Petco is. Yeah, so that shopping center has always been extremely...
right. And
the one across from the Nanuet shops at Nanuet.
Yeah, and that's why I was going to ask you, how are they faring? I mean, do you do any, browsing through there to see what the tenor of activity is in there?
Well, in that case, what we do know is that Simon Malls has bought up the 2 Sears buildings, or has exercised its license on those Sears buildings. So it's possible that they are looking at some reinvention that might include, I don't know if it would be housing, convention center, hotels. I know all of those have been tossed around, all those ideas. And that's
2
really,
Sears buildings. I got to stop you here. Did Sears also own the Macy's building?
No. So the Macy's building is now owned independently.
All right, but what do you mean 2 Sears? It was...
The department store and the auto shop.
About the auto shop.
All right, I forgot about that. I'm sorry. All right, go ahead. I didn't even...
So I think that, Simon will also... I think that Simon is probably more agile, more flexible in its ability to reinvent itself, perhaps, than I was going to say, than Pyramid, Palisade Center, only because they have the kind of configuration over there on the other side of the street that would, I think, lend itself more to a freestanding convention hall or a hotel, or even if they wanted to add in residential. Whereas, like, if you think about JCPenney and you think about Lord & Taylor, as they exist, those structures, those buildings, what are they suitable for? I don't know what they are suitable for. They're big hulking spaces.
How about housing?
I don't know. I mean,
live and work in the same place.
Well, I think you'd have to. Yeah, well, in the footprint, maybe if you
have to be zoning changes made then.
Zoning changes, which is a high bar, and then you'd also have to tear down those structures because they're big and monolithic and windowless, and I think that a developer would probably agree that it makes more sense to tear them down, use the footprint, and put up housing. I mean, yeah, I could if we needed housing, more density housing. I guess that's not a terrible idea over there. But the whole point is that unless we shift, I think we're going to start to really feel this correction that's going. I mean, it is going on nationally, no doubt. But what I'm seeing, the trend that I'm seeing across these retailers is, it's not that they're going away altogether. It's that they're downsizing their stores, they're reinventing, and they're reevaluating where their viable markets are. And the question I think that's in the air right now is, are we not a viable market compared to others?
You know, the way you frame it, Simon seems to be, they seem to have the magic.
Well, they are very good.
Don't they have Woodbury Common also?
Huh?
Yes, and they're expanding that to the hill.
They are. Right, I was about to say that. And
they seem agile, and they seem like the kind of retailer that always finds its feet. But even the pyramid...
The bottom line to this, then, is there are possibilities, no matter what, if you're creative enough.
There are definitely possibilities, and it would be great to diversify, our retail, commercial, and maybe even housing sector. The question is, what will it take? And, I don't know if these commercial entities do these things in a vacuum, or whether they do them with the help of people on the inside, town officials and economic development, leaders in a community. So I just think that, there's going to have to be a lot of thinking done so that we're, not behind the eight ball here in the county. And, I really think that a tax appeal is all but certain, wouldn't you say?
Right.
If that's the case, if it does close, then that would probably be on the horizon.
By the way, do you do letters to the editors, so to speak, in that publication?
Say that again?
Do you do letters from the general public in your publication?
Yeah, we haven't really had a Section 4 running letters. Something we could certainly add to the site. You think people would like that?
I would like to hear what they say, and especially in terms of just a business environment, what people think about what we're talking about here. I think it might work.
Do you get much comment on individual stories?
Yes. People can comment. Well, I invite anybody who wants to comment on what we're talking about to email me at ttraster@rcbizjournal.com, and if we want to get a discussion going, we can certainly do that.
All right, we always get something interesting when you're on here, and you're on here every Monday morning, generally at 9:15 here on WRCR.
Generally, all the time except for holidays.
Yep, including next Monday when we'll talk to you one more time.
All righty, have a great week.